Okay, how you doing today, boys? Welcome back to me being wrong for about 20 minutes or so. Let's get straight into it. It is the Premier League predictions, and we are currently, as we speak, 4 days away from the start of the Premier League campaign for Liverpool v Bournemouth. This is my predictions. This is my opinion. And if you think I'm wrong, I probably am. So comment down below your top 4, your bottom 3. I think I know what it would be. And add to that as well your unpopular opinion, a prediction that you have that people typically would think that you're stupid for saying. Comment that down below. I'll give you mine. And I think this opinion, Mo Salah will struggle to score 10 goals. That's not penalties in the league. Of course, he takes penalties, so that may ruin my idea of saying that I don't think he'll score 10 goals. But I think Mo Salah, for many reasons this year, could be on a bit of decline. His age is one of it, 33. Last year, he had an incredible turnout. However, there's a few new factors. It is a very different squad to what it was last campaign. A lot of new players, especially in the attack. He's also signed a new contract that typically does correlate to a dip in performances or output. And because of his age as well, I think that it's not hard to imagine that he may pick up a knock or so this campaign, may have an injury at some stage. So, yeah, I mean, he does take penalties, though. I want to say he won't score 10 goals in the league this campaign. People may think this is crazy because of how well he did last year, but it will still be a threat. But I can see him getting deeper and deeper, and maybe more the one to create them than to score them. So that's my unpopular prediction. You comment down below yours. Like, comment, and subscribe. And Mezar Designs for the best football prints, all made by myself, covering every single team in Premier League. Of course, we've got, I think, 10 prints for every single Premier League club. So have a look. So use code Vizeh for 15% of all items. It's my own website, so you've supported me, so I appreciate it. Unless if I say you're going down, then you may not like me. So let's get straight into it. Starting off with the bottom 3, this is no surprise to absolutely anyone that the same 3 teams will probably be here for 95% predictions. But not in this one, because I'm deluded. I need to clarify here. I'm deluded, and I will put one team to stay up because no one else would. So, in 20th place, I'm putting in Sunderland. I've already made enemies with a lot of these fans, and I don't blame them. It's very exciting. It feels like I'm attacking you personally for saying that I don't think you'll stay up. But look, until your defense is sorted, which I don't think it will be in time, I think that it would be a struggle. I think you'd be excited to watch. I think there'll be some great games that you guys will be in high-scoring games, 3-2, 4-3, whatever else. I think there'll be a very, exciting team to watch in the league this year. But I just feel like your defense will be the main problem. Transfers, I can't help but feel excited with the players you got there. Majority all young, other than really Granit Xhaka and maybe 1 or 2. I think they got Masaraku in from Turkey, who did good in Turkey, but it's Turkey. They've signed a Getafe centre-half just recently, last 24 hours, so that can maybe help them out. But I'm sticking with my guns here. I'm still not overly too convinced on Regis Lebris personally. So yeah, that's where I'm putting Sunderland. This isn't to attack you guys. I just feel like it is still a very young and inexperienced team, and I think that there'll be some shining lights in there, but I think consistency would be a problem, and that's where I see you. So that's where I'm putting Sunderland. 19th place, to kind of go with how I'm going with this, I'm putting in Leeds. I'm putting in Leeds because as of right now, they've brought in some reinforcements, definitely physical ones to help out. Stack, I think, is a nice one from Northern Germany. They've signed the likes of Longstaff from Newcastle, which is a nice little engine in the midfield there. So a few signings from overseas in France and Germany as well. And I think they're nice. I'm a bit concerned with their attack, however. Right now it's still the likes of Aronson, Perrault, Ganonto, Ramazani, and until they really change that, and they could, they generally could bring in a piece of business, 2 additions, I would say, to really bolster that attack, and I may say I think they can stay up. My main issue again is Daniel Farke, who has got a poor record in Premier League, and he's been known for not really having much of a plan B. I do think he has a lot more to his arsenal than they did at Norwich, so I think that they won't do as bad as they did at Norwich. I like to think that the bottom 3 in connection to the 17th, 16th won't be that far apart. I hope it's relatively tight and pretty close. That's what I'm hoping so anyway. But I'm putting in Leeds because I don't really know where to score too many goals, but I think there will be definitely a lot more of a tighter unit. But I'm just putting them in there because I, again, don't trust Daniel Farke. So that's why I'm putting Leeds 19th. But hey, if they bring in 2-3 more additions before the window shuts, then they could give themselves a much better of a chance. 18th place now, and this is when you guys have a go at me. I'm not putting in Burnley. I'm a Burnley fan. I'm not doing it. I can't do it. I as a man, I hope you can understand, I'm not doing it. We should, probably, and like right now, if I was a complete neutral, yeah, obviously I'll put Burnley to go down, but I don't care. I'm putting Burnley to stay up, which means in 18th place, I'm putting in Brentford. This is, for me, the biggest chance of any team to go down. The reason why is because there's too many question marks for this team right now, and despite Brentford being Brentford and they are incredibly intelligent at how they set up and how they operate as a club, I kind of have trust in them that they can replace players well, and they still have time to do so. But look, they're going to be losing Vizeh, probably. They're going to be losing where they've lost Embremo, they've lost their main manager, they've lost Norgard. That's 4 massive key parts of what made Brentford in one window, in one swoop. That's a big change. With this new manager, which was actually not really new, it was already part of the club as a set-piece coach, so he knows how they play. It is still his first job in football officially, and of course it's at a Premier League club in Brentford. It's a big job for him. Can he get the respect? Can he do the little tweaks that someone like a Thomas Frank would have done? Can he adapt to it? It's a big question mark. So I'm hoping that one team can maybe make a mess up here, and Brentford, with all this sum of change, they've not brought in too many players in my opinion that I don't think can even replace players they just lost. I'm hoping that someone can completely mess it up, and I'm saying that it's going to be them. That means I'm putting, of course, Burnley in 17th. This is purely out of pure delusion, and there's no other reason behind it. I am just putting that out of pure spite, really. So I do have some reasons in theory, and that is that I believe the setup that we have will be a bit more suitable for the Premier League. We're not going to attempt to really go at teams. We're going to try to be more like a traditional Sean Dyche team, try and stay in games with our defensive unit. That even though we have lost some players, I think the actual system and a unit in place is the most important part. What Scott Parker put in place, that work ethic, and I believe that is what is the most important. Yes, James Trafford is a big loss. I think Dubravka is a very good replacement for him. Josh Brownhill is a decent loss. I don't think he would adapt that well to Prem anyway, because he hasn't for the last 3 years. I think Ugochukwu is a bit more suitable for what we need. And Egan Riley, again, had a few question marks on his physicality anyway, so I believe something like a Twanzebe could also be a decent effort. And we have got quite a lot of centre-halves anyway. So bringing in Kyle Walker, bringing Dubravka to add into some young players that could be maybe a real coup if they hit the ground running, like Ugochukwu, like Broja. Broja is mainly the main question mark here. He's not been injured for a while. He has still got talent in my opinion. It's just, can he stay fit? If he stays fit, I can see him scoring 10 goals, similar to what Liam Delap did at Ipswich. Would that be enough? Probably not. I have to find out. But if he stays fit, we stand a chance. If he doesn't, I am struggling to see where the goals really come from here. And we've never been that great at set pieces either, and it looks like that's not going to really change. I could try to explain to you why I think we may stay up, and you still won't believe that we'll still stay up. So just put this down to, I'm a Burnley fan, I'm deluded, and move on. So in 16th place, I'm putting in Wolverhampton Wanderers. Last campaign, they had a great end to the year, which, boosted up the table and made that gap between, the 18th to the rest of the pack quite far apart. However, they were at one stage really, really shaky, and they were really in a scrap by, January, February point. I remember when they lost to Ipswich at home, and it felt like they were actually going to go down. Now this year, they have, in my opinion, got worse. They've lost Matheus Cunha, they've lost Aïnouri, that were big parts of their setup and how they scored goals. Now, they still have quite a lot of unknown players there, or players that may not be household names, that I think with a bit more freedom, with the loss of Matheus Cunha, they can come out and shine a bit more. I like their manager. I think he's nice and stable, and I think he did a fantastic job when he came in. However, they are some big losses, and I'm just looking at the quality of the other teams. It's not really a fault of Wolves, it's more a fault of, I just really like what other teams also have. So this isn't me saying they're a bad team, it's just the quality is absolutely ridiculous in this level. So I'm putting down Wolves in 16th. 15th place, this is my first big real shock here, and I'm putting in, and I'm so sorry for this, I'm putting in Nottingham Forest and 15th. I think with the element of European football, and I think with kind of how it ended off last year, they were really successful in that midpoint of the campaign when they had a lot of shocks and they had a lot of unknowns, and they surprised teams at how they set up and how they hit them, and it faded off in the end, like really poorly. Like they were a sure thing at one point for Champions League football, and then they just tailed off for the last 2-3 months, it looked like, and it was a real kind of for lead balloon to the end of the campaign. That was of course was a historic campaign, and it would always be remembered as a fantastic year for Nottingham Forest, but it could have been more, and it probably should have been more. Now, yes, the end of the year form does concern me a little bit. I think European football added on top of that would be a concern. They kept Gibbs White, and there was an entire issue. Their preseason has been really, really poor. Like, I don't think they've won a single game. They're barely scoring in games either. But pre-season's pre-season. I do think you can take a little smidgen of kind of where the club is at and how it kind of is feeling right now. So yeah, I'm putting them 15th. This is a big shock call for me. I think that last year they, in my opinion, overperformed a lot of the expectations and what the stats and the XG stats were really saying. And I think with the addition of course, Europe, they may kind of fall down and just hope on. I don't think they'll go down. I don't think they'll have any threat of it going down. Next up, I'm going to be putting in West Ham United in 14th. Again, Jared Bowen is enough for a squad to not really go down. I don't think Graham Potter is that bad of a manager either, and I think with pre-season he can get something out of this group. I still think it is a group that still needs a lot of additions. Other than Fukruk, who again can be injury prone, and Wilson, that we all know is injury prone. Other than Bowen, I do struggle to see where the goals are really going to come from. Kudus, of course, is gone as well. Lucas Paquetá will be involved, and I imagine he's staying, but I'm seeing a few players here that, some young players that's kind of joining in pre-season, and some old players as well. Defensively is fine. I don't think it's like great by any means, but like it's just okay. The goalkeeper Ariola can also be a bit shaky at times as well. It's just okay. It's a purely okay team, but with some experienced pros in there that knows a level. I don't think they'll go down, but I don't think it's just going to be a normal season for them. I must say, unfortunately for West Ham fans, 14th. And I guess they may take that. 13th place, I'm going Fulham. Not much has really happened at all in this campaign. They've not really brought in really anyone. They've lost a few players. I think there's really many massive hits. They still have time, of course, of bringing a signing or two, but it looks like a season of stability for Fulham. Fabio Silva's done a great job there. They had a great year last year at times, maybe to push for those European spots, but without much movement, and of course other teams get better as well. I see this as just a year of just stability, and maybe if they're lucky, a kind of some kind of cup run of some kind. But got some good players there, but I'm gonna go with 13 for Fulham. Bournemouth is going 12th place. They've lost a lot of players. Zabroni's gone to PSG, Kirkes to Liverpool, and of course Huijsen to Real Madrid. Big losses, especially in the defence, and the defence is kind of an area which you really don't want to mess around with, and that's a massive shake-up. Now, they still have time, of course, to change this. They could still bring in some more players before the window ends. They could be a potential of maybe a player leaving, like I think I saw a link the other day for the Burkina Faso player, Ottawa, I believe. I doubt Semenyo may go. It is a season of a lot of uncertainty at Bournemouth right now, and maybe they could be even lower than this. They could maybe be 13th or 14th. It's a big loss, those three players. I like the manager. He's Iriola, decent manager, but defensively, I can see a few problems this campaign. So they got a good number 9. They got some menu that can pop up with a few goals here or there. They got some decent midfield talent, but defensively, I think they may take a few hits. So for 12th place, Bournemouth, and I think people are relatively okay with that. This is going to be, again, maybe a big shock, but it shouldn't be. And I'm sorry to any fans of this club, but right now, I'm really, really struggling here. 11th place. I'm going to go with my heart here. And I'm going to go for Manchester United. I've not seen enough. Yes, they brought in some new players. Sesko, Mateus Cunha, and Bremo. I've not seen enough defensively to believe that they've changed really too much at all. Like, yes, they may score a few more goals this campaign. I believe they will. They still need to get rid of a few deadwood, I believe. I don't know if I rate Amorim. I really don't. I still doubt him. I've not seen enough from him to believe that much has changed. Of course, preseason. I know it's taking too much off that. I'm taking it off the fact that I believe the other teams ahead of them are on a rise even higher. And there's definitely one team here that I'm backing a lot, which people may question mark, but we can get into it later on. So United, I'm putting in 11th because they still have a lot of players there that I don't think is good enough. When I look at the defense, I really don't rate it too much. I don't think it's that solid. You know, goalkeeper-wise, Onana could still be the keeper there as well, which he always has an issue as well. And the midfield, if they get Baleba, that would be a massive help. You know, if they can sell, I think they're looking on selling like Garnacho right now. It could maybe go to Chelsea. Of course, Højlund could maybe go to, I believe, Italy. I think I saw the link to maybe to AC Milan. You know, that could be a massive help. Of course, that could then bring in the front to bring in Baleba. I think it's a big ask. If they can do that, I may put them a little bit higher up because I think in midfield with some real legs in there, that's a massive need. I can maybe put them to like not much higher, like maybe 9th. But that's a lot of ifs. It's just my feeling when I was like, do I think United have really took some big steps forward? They took a few, but not enough. So I'm putting them 11th. 10th place, a kind of big shock prediction here. I'm putting Everton in 10th place. I love David Moyes. I think he's a solid manager that when he gets his grips of a football club can really make waves. They have a real good feeling in the club right now. They've got some players there, some young players. They've still got like a Bramford. Of course, they still got Imran and Njai there. They got a new forward in Barry that I think, you know, is okay, but I can hope that he can bring another striker as well. Jack Grealish, as far as I'm concerned, is also on his way to Everton too, which is a massive help. Back line defensively, they've always been very solid. They got a good feeling going into the new stadium. Their physical side, they'll make it hard. Yes, they may have games that they may not have enough in attack. They're still quite a slow team in areas, but this is more based on the fact that I really rate David Moyes, and I feel like Everton at last are on the up. I think they're on a trajectory, and just like what Moyes did at West Ham, a club that was at one stage in the same position as Everton, kind of almost going down and in a bit of a foul mood, he turned the tide and he got them into Europe. I don't think they make Europe, but I think they make steps in that direction. So this is my big shout as well. Everton, I think, will be in 10th place. 9th place here, I'm going to put in Brighton. I would like to have them a bit higher up, but I think 9th, I think most Brighton fans would be happy with that. I just really like how they operate. They've not lost too many players. They've lost, of course, João Pedro, of course. A few players of the past has also made their way as well, like Estupinian and the staple of what Brighton were maybe 2 years ago. So it feels like a new look. Attacking wise, you've got Jorginho Ruta, Matoma, still Danny Welbeck there, Bernonte, that can also make an impact. They're a very exciting team, very good team. And if Baleba stays, that's also a massive help as well. Brighton, I'm going to put 9th place. I think they'll just be a very exciting, team. They may have a random wonder kid from Paraguay or Ecuador suddenly pop up this campaign as well, because that is what they do. So I wouldn't write that off either. 9th place, Brighton. So in 8th place, I'm putting in Crystal Palace. Now, this is entirely based on the idea that if they keep their team the way it currently is right now, the current vibe of the club right now, you gotta like the feel, the atmosphere of a club when you can tell that it's on the rise. It is very hard to stop, and it has an energy to it. If they can keep Gahey, they keep Mateta, they keep Wharton, they keep all these very key players to their squad, they've got a real tight-knit unit there that will fight for each other. Glasner's done a great job there. Consistency in the Premier League will always be their issue. If they can be more consistent, of course they have got European football, but I really rate them as a squad. Of course, they're in the Conference League right now. It looks like they're staying in Conference League, and I think that's better. That means that they could be a bit more lenient of rotating players into the Conference League, play a few more, outside players that don't typically start, and still get away with it. I don't think they'll be hit as bad for European football like what Forest will until maybe the end of the campaign, if they're still in it in the latter stages, in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. But even still, look at the run Chelsea had. Look at the teams they had in the knockout rounds. Can you see a Crystal Palace team beating most of them. Even with some players even out, I still think they can still beat them. So yeah, I'm putting in Palace in 9th place. Of course, Eze as well. I almost forgot Eze. If they can keep Eze, they keep Gehi, they keep Wharton. I mean, Christ, that's a very good base. That's a very good base there. So yeah, Palace, don't let me down. So in 7th place, I'm putting in Tottenham Hotspur. I feel like this is fair after being 17th last year. And this is largely based on the fact I really do rate Thomas Frank. I think he's a very good manager. I think he did a fantastic job at Brentford. And I think with his style and how he likes to get a grip of a team, if he gets his time to really get with them and to make them play and fight for him, I think they've got someone that they can really kind of get behind again. My main issue is really defensively. I mean, a lot of their main players are still quite injury prone, or kind of not that great defensively because they're very attacking minded, like the fullbacks. They brought in like Kudus. They may even bring in Savinho, I believe, from City. That'd be a really nice piece of business to add to their attack. They've got a lot of players that can be good in their day, but not that consistent. Also, Madison's out for the year. Can Solanke step up? The attack will Odobert be a bigger part of it, or Tel, or Kulusevski, or I mean, there's quite a lot of players there that can be good on their day, but can they be consistent with it enough? So 7th place for me. You already know who 5th and 6th is. It's just based on which way around. Of course, Newcastle in Champions League football, Aston Villa, of course, in the Europa League football. And because of the summer they had, I'm going to go with Newcastle in 6th place. I just kind of feel like there's too much going on that's kind of a bit negative right now with the Isaac situation. We don't know what's going to happen. It looks like he's staying, but would he then be able to just kind of walk back in and start playing again? I don't know. He's a massive part of how they scored goals, and if he stays, then I think that's a benefit to them, but you don't really fully know, because would he still be the same player? Would the feeling be completely changed? Football fans, and we all kind of agree that we're all kind of fickle, but you kind of always feel like as long as they score goals, no matter what you felt to them before, if they put it back in the net, you kind of just forget the rest. So maybe that may happen. But I feel like just there's a mood, there's a vibe in the club that maybe I think they could even go maybe lower to like 7th or 8th. They still kind of kept a large part of their squad still, of course. A very good midfield. Tonali, Bruno, Joelinton is a very physical, very impactful midfield. They still need some more players. I still think they still need another attacker. Still more business for them to get in. And I'm going to back them to get at least 1 or 2 more transfers in, which I think can help them out a lot. I'm going to go 6th place Newcastle. 5th place, of course, Aston Villa. Unai Emery is a god. I really love him. I like the squad they have. They got a good blend of young players and players in the peak age. And yeah, I feel like 5th place, it could be maybe a little bit too high if they're challenging for the European football at the same time. They may find it to be a bit too much, because I think depth-wise, they can maybe do with 1 or 2 more players. Of course, Asensio's now gone from loan, Rashford too. But of course, there's still the factor that as of right now, it's still about 3 weeks left. They could still bring in 2 players in that can help out a lot, even 3. So I'm adding that in consideration. So Aston Villa, Unai Emery, he's a top guy. He really is. 4th place. 4th place. Am I doing this to be different? Possibly. Maybe I am. But I'm going to go for it. I am going to put Manchester City in 4th place. There's a lot of change there. A lot of new players. A lot of new players. And I don't know if they're the same City as we know them as. I mean, they clearly aren't, because they're very much a different team. Pep, you would imagine, would figure it out. He would figure them out to play in a way that he wants them to. But there's a big shake-up. A lot of new players coming in. Ant Nouri, Cherki, Reinders, Trafford. I mean, it's still a great team. Would I be surprised if they come second? No. They've still got Erling Haaland, and we can't forget they've got Erling Haaland. But they've got a lot of players that are still kind of old and kind of just people waiting for them to be moved on, like Gundogan or Bernardo Silva, that, of course, still talented players, but are kind of getting on and maybe outstaying the welcome now, it feels like, with the City fan base. But I just have this feeling at City that it's a bit stagnant right now. Like, there's a lot of question marks, and it may take a bit of time. They may have maybe a poor start to the campaign and then kind of work their way, and then they'll be maybe really good by Christmas time. But by then the damage may be a little bit already too late. That's how I feel with City. In third place, I am putting in Chelsea. Chelsea fans that thinks I hate them are stunned right now, I imagine. Chelsea are on it up. They got a lot of players. Some are going, but they have a really good feel to them. A really good feeling there. And what Chelsea really need right now to make me say that I think they can go to win the league is like a sure thing in their peak age with maturity and experience, like centre midfielder, you know, or centre back, someone like a Thiago Silva. Like imagine they bring in, you know, a Thiago Silva again at the age that he came in. Then maybe I would say, you know what, maybe they can go on to really go for the title and really win the title. I think that's the one piece of the puzzle they're really missing. They're kind of missing a goalkeeper because Sanchez, there was a few question marks. People still don't rate him too much. You know, if they got like a really solid, you know, they somehow got like a Donnarumma, someone like that, then Jesus, this could be a genuinely crazy team. They're very exciting. Chelsea, I'm putting in third place. Who do I think will win the Premier League between Liverpool or Arsenal? And I'm going to say this from the goodness of my heart, because I think this is their last chance. I'm going to say Arsenal will win the Premier League. I'm going to back Arsenal. I shouldn't back Arsenal. I really shouldn't. I still think Arteta still has a few flaws. The way they attack at times, they're a bit predictable, and they're a bit reliant on a few, you know, Saka or set pieces. That's the things we've always heard. But last year, we always heard that they need to get a striker. They need a number 9. They've got one. They've got one of the best in Europe in the last 2 years in Vizeh Gyökeres. Can they get the best out of him? They have to. They simply have to. I'm looking at the squad, and they've got some really good players there. They really do. We all know they do. And I think I have this thing with Liverpool. And I think it's more that I think Liverpool will go down a bit, and I think Arsenal, with that addition of Gyökeres, can go up. And hear me out here. Arsenal staying kind of relatively the same. You know, a few additions of Mendy and Vizeh Gyökeres. You know, they may add 1 or 2 more as well. But Madueke, some great depth as well. But Liverpool, I feel like, and this may make no sense, but I've got this weird feeling of like maybe that second season syndrome. Arne Slot did such a great job that he almost did too good of a job that I feel like he did over-exceed at times. And they've brought in all these players, and there's a lot of new players here. Wirtz, Etatike, you know, Kerkez, Frimpong, could maybe bring in an Isaac. I don't think they will. Defensively, if they somehow get an injury to Konate or Van Dijk, the kind of depth there is really, really lacking. Like, they really have not got much there. Like, Joe Gomez, we have to play there at some stage, or Hendo can maybe slot in. I am a bit concerned with that, but I just got this feeling that there's so much change. Salah, I don't feel like will be the same player as he was last year. That's my kind of unpopular opinion. I think that he may take a step back, and the system will change. I just think this could be a bit of a second season syndrome. They're still second. I still think they'll be a great squad, but I don't think they'll be as good as last year with all this change. Because you'd think all these new players, should they be even better? But I think there's a lot, and I think it could be maybe a little betting in period. Sometimes they'll absolutely blow teams away, but sometimes I feel like it may not work in the way they really wanted to. So I'm putting Liverpool in second place. First place, I'm going with Arsenal. A very good defence, of course. Goalkeeper-wise, got Raya and Kepa. Not an absolute solid goalkeeper. You know, there's still a few question marks with those two, of course, obviously. But this is more out of it's now or never, I think. It is now or never for Arsenal. So I'm going to predict them to win the league, purely out of the fact that I think Vizeh Gyökeres can do enough to get them to win the league. And if they don't do it this year, I think some players may leave, and they could maybe getting a bit stagnant. So Arsenal, out of pure delusion, to win the league. God, it feels even more stupid when I say it out loud. So comment down below your top 4, your bottom 3, and your unpopular prediction for the campaign. Thank you for being here, and please don't be too mad at me. Enjoy your day. See ya.